Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. I am here to review Love After Lockup. This is season 3, episode 36. I think this is called Sugar Daddy or Boyfriend. And not too much happened in this episode, so I think this will be a quick one. So let's jump into sort of, the real quick segments we got. Let's start with Rachel and Doug. Rachel is the woman who has, sort of unofficially adopted his son. She's like the former Marine, and he's getting out soon. She goes to meet with her mom for like coffee or lunch, but before she gets into the restaurant, Doug calls, and he is just as crabby and cranky as he ever was, demanding, barking orders. She needs to call the parole officer, she needs to get on this, she needs to do that. And I'm just like, but she doesn't seem to mind it at all. She's just like, okay, all right, I'll do it. Like I said, just very passive. Like, it just, I mean, hey, maybe she really is the one for him, because I'd be like, whatever. Anyway, she goes in to sit and talk with her mother because he's getting out soon. She tells the camera that, she's a little concerned because, Doug has kind of been off and on in prison, it seems, because she says the longest stint he's been out before being like sent back is 40 days because following the rules just isn't his forte. Okay, that's concerning. She sits with the mama, and Mama Rachel's just like, so like, what's going on? Are you ready for all this? And through this conversation we learn that Rachel has been married to an inmate, a previous inmate convict before, and it ended in divorce, obviously, because what she didn't know was that he was a heroin addict, and he was addicted to drugs, and that can wreck a marriage, and it did. And so, the mom is just concerned, like, is this a repeat of the past? It's kind of like, it's deja vu of last week's conversation with Deontay and his mom. Like, it seems like the same thing all over again. Like, aren't you concerned that, he might have addictions? And she's like, well, no, like, drugs aren't his problem. Well, following the rules and staying out of prison seems to be a problem for him if he could only had been out for 40 days before he could break the law and get sent back again. Is that harsh? I don't know. But she's just like, this time it's different, because the mom asks again in a deja vu moment, like, well, how much money have you spent on him? And she says about $30,000. But we learn a little bit more where this money's going. I guess it was going for hotels, gas, food, when she would go out to see him. That adds up. Okay, so it's not maybe like direct into like his pocket, but it's money spent. And mom's just like, wow, like, it's kind of like you've done a lot. And she's like, well, because she's like, aren't you concerned he might be using you for your money? And she's like, no, because he's been very honest with me about how he's had relationships in the past with other women who wrote to him or had phone conversations with him. And he outright said, I use them for money, but not her. He pursued her, he's been in contact with her, and, nobody's ever kind of like chased after her in such a way. Like, what more does he have to prove? A lot, I would say, and the mom would agree, and she's just like, she can't help but wonder, like, is her daughter just attracted to sort of like these wounded birds that need fixing up? Like, what is it about her that she seeks out this sort of element in men? Mom's concerned. I would be concerned. So mom is just going to keep an eye on him, just the way Deontay's mom is going to keep an eye on Nicole. Like, these moms need to get together sometime and go bowling. Courtney and Josh. Remember we left Courtney in the pickle suit, like laying in the gutter? Well, that's exactly where we pick up, The friend pulls up with Josh in the car. He gets out, like, where is she? He finds her, like, hiding behind that, like, little wall. And she doesn't get up. She just lays there. She's just, like, laying there looking up at him. And he's like, what are you doing in a pickle suit? I thought this was their inside joke, and he would get it. He didn't get it. And she's like, cuz I'm a big deal. And he's just like, huh? Oh, okay. I was confused. He's kissing her. It's very emotional, their reunion, she's crying. He's, a little teary-eyed. It's a reunion. Okay. So, they get in the car. They both sit in the back seat, friends driving Miss Daisy. She's driving them around. They go to like a burger joint so he can get like a burger and fries, and it's like the best burger he's ever had. He's just enjoying it. He's just so amazed, to be out. It's so wonderful. It's so great. At this point, they are going to quarantine together for 14 days, and then I think he says he has to go stay with the cousin because she's still on probation, and he's on probation, and it's just not allowed. They get back to her house, you know, she's showing him around. He sees the bed, he like lays on it like, oh, this is just the nicest, softest bed. I mean, well, yeah, compared to a prison cot, anything is nicer. And he's just so thankful. He's looking around like, you know, it's just amazing that like while he was in, you know, doing his time, she was just out here building their empire for him. And, you know, all he had to do is basically just walk through the door. That's it. Oh, and, you know, he's gonna have to, you know, she's laying in the bed with him and she's telling the camera like she is just ready. She's just ready for him to just take her and do what it do. And he's a little nervous because, you know, he hasn't had sex in a really long time and he feels like he might be like a born again virgin. But she's like, no, like that. Once you've done it, it'll come natural. It'll all come back to you. And, you know, they love each other. They're just laying there, you know, googly eyeing each other, and then, you know, he kind of just like puts his hand on the camera, and I mean, that's it. That's where we're gonna leave him. It's just that was it. Like, that's all we get. I mean, I do watch another YouTuber. I forget her name. It's like TRUFEELINZ, I think is it. I'll link it in the description below. But she made some really good points, which I kind of caught too. That she suspects that this is sort of being refilmed, that he's been out because. In the prison pictures they show of him, and I thought the same thing. He looks very buff, very built. His face is a lot fuller. And now that he's out, he looks quite thin and different. And she looks different too. She looks a little fuller compared to when she was visiting him in prison. So this could just be sort of like a retelling of their story. I mean, not super authentic, but are these shows ever? So I'll link her that video below and you guys can watch it. But yes, I caught it too. I caught it. TRUFEELINZ, is that her name? She does not do long intros. And what are we talking about? You guys know who I'm talking about now? Check out her videos. She's hilarious recapping these shows, by the way. Stan and Lisa. Lisa's due to get out soon. Meanwhile, Stan's at home making a little snack, a little charcuterie plate for himself, some cheese and some salami and some wine. He's just gonna hang out, you know, wait for Lisa to call. He thinks he's a good catch, you know, because he's patient, he has money and a good attitude. I mean, yeah, what more could you want in a guy? So, you know, he's sitting there hanging out with his cat, and Lisa calls, and she reiterates again. I mean, I wonder how she really looks, because she tells him, like, I just want to remind you and let you know I don't look the way I used to. I kind of look more like my brother. You know, I have short hair, and I just don't want you to be disappointed or have these expectations. Like, when I get out, like, you know, I'm just trying to warn him. She's trying to lower that expectation. And he says he doesn't care. He loves her. He would marry her. Okay, so she's like, you know, I can't wait to get home. I can't wait to be with you. I can't wait to go back down to your basement and do what we did last time. I don't even want to know. But he's like, oh yeah, we can do that. And then she asks, like, so when am I going to meet your family? I think he has 2 daughters. And he's like, I wouldn't really count on that happening anytime soon. Because he shares that his daughters, you know, are very overprotective. And, you know, when it comes to him dating, like, nobody can live up to their mother, and, you know, nobody will be as great as her, so they'll really accept nobody. And I don't know if that's totally fair, because I would say, you know, I have a mother who's a widow, and yeah, nobody's ever going to compare to my father or live up to that standard. But I think what the concern is, and he even shares it too, is that, you know, they're worried that Lisa might be using him for his money, and that's a real concern. I mean, if they're aware, especially that he met her on Seeking Arrangements, then yeah, we know what she's here for. We know what the arrangement's gonna be. It's you financially supporting her and possibly her draining you of all your money. I mean, this isn't just like I met a nice woman at the grocery store who's sort of my age and has her own home and her grown children. Like, I think we would be open to that. Like, I'm not the kind of daughter who looks at it like, my mom can't be with anybody. Like, she can certainly, she's still young, she's still beautiful, she still has like a whole life ahead of her. I wouldn't be opposed to her finding a friend, a companion, or even remarrying someday. But it would, I mean, my mom is no fool. She wouldn't be part of any of this kind of like nonsense. But yeah, we want somebody who's kind of on the same level, who's coming from the same place, you know, maybe not looking for like the love of their life because they've been there, done that, but just, you know, somebody to like share experiences with. I think we're open to that, but I don't think this is what that is. So, you know, and also the topic of like inheritance comes up. I don't even know why that would come up at this point. I mean, she is his girlfriend, but I mean, and he says he would marry her. And he says like he hasn't talked about like sort of inheritance and the will and all that, but he just imagines that, you know, if it got to that point, he would just divvy it up evenly. I mean, you better get that will together, Stan, is all I gotta say. Before you marry Lisa, if that's what's gonna happen, you better get that prenup in order. If marriage is what's gonna happen. And I mean, just because I'm getting ahead of myself. So he's like, don't worry about it, we'll take care of all that, I love you, I don't care what you look like. Because apparently I should say, she told him that she got into a prison fight and her hair was pulled, and that's how she lost her hair, or a chunk of her hair. I don't know if she had to cut it, but you know, she's very insecure about her hair situation. So he's gonna go to the wig shop and pick up some wigs for her, which is very sweet. It's very kind and thoughtful. He gets to the wig shop, he meets the owner, Nikki, and I'm like, who does Nikki remind me of? Like, I just was like, she reminds me of somebody. And then I was like, she reminds me of that actress, Paula J. Parker. That's where she been. Paula J. been running the wig shop in St. Louis. You know her from Friday and some other things. Dead on Paula. So Paula's showing him the wigs. Like, well, no, first Paula's like, okay, how can I help you? And he's like, I want to buy some wigs for my girlfriend. And she's like, okay, well, what kind of wigs are you looking for? And he's like, well, can I show you a picture? Would that help? And she's like, absolutely, let's see it. He pulls up the prison mugshot, and Paula's just like, oh, okay. And he's like, yeah, she's in prison. She got into a fight. She lost some hair. I want to get her some wigs. So she's like, okay, well, she used to be blonde. So, you know, she pulls out the blonde, like, mermaid wig, all the waves. She pulls out the blonde, like, you know, sort of ombre root smudge wig. And he's just like, oh, I like that. Oh, yeah, I like that. She's kind of holding it up next to him, like, can you imagine yourself? Like, and he's like, oh, yeah. So she shows him all the good wigs, and he's like, yeah, I'll take those 3. Paula's like, all right, that's, you know, I think it was like $1,300, $1,500. He pulls out his card, no problem. He has money, okay. So he's like, you know, thank you very much. He takes him. As he's walking out, Lisa calls him to let him know that her brother has been arrested for evading police, and he is in jail, and his bond is like $30,000. Can we help him at all, babe? And he's like, I don't know about that. Like, and she's like, you know, I feel so bad. And if there's any way, and he's like, but you know, he tells her, I feel like if I do that, if I bail him out, like he's not going to learn his lesson. He's just going to do it again. And then Stan shares with us that, you know, Lisa kind of comes from a family of jailbirds. Her dad was convicted of murder, and she has other brothers who are like in and out of prison. And he's just like, is this like in the family blood, this criminal element? And he's just worried that, you know, that she's kind of just sort of like stuck in this cycle, you know, it's just like the patterns of her family. And that's not even how he says it. This is how I'm interpreting it, because I've watched a lot of Beyond, like, you know, patterns and, you know, what does she call it? Like family, you know, when you're doing the same thing over and over again. And she's like, yeah, because he's like, you know, he's going to do it again. And she's like, yeah, I know. Like, trust me, I get it. I've been there. Like, I've been in prison 7 times. And it took me 7 times to finally get it and figure it out. Like, what did you get? What did you figure out, Lisa? Because you're not out yet. Like, that's yet to be proven if you've figured it out and got it together. Like, that remains to be seen. So Stan is smart and correct to just be like, let's wait on that. Like, I'll call you back later. Talk to you later. But like, he's not bailing no brother out. Are you crazy? And you know, because she's just here for all the right reasons. Did I miss this part when he tells her, like, you know, you're not going to meet the daughters right away because they're concerned that you're a gold digger. She's like, well, I just want to let you know and them know, like, I'm here for the right reasons. I have the best of intentions. Like, I love you. And can we bail my brother out for $30,000? That's love. So she gets out soon. We'll see what happens, you know, with the real Stan's Bornak. Brittany and Ray. Okay, Ray is 29, Brittany's 33. Those are their ages. Brittany, if you recall, is sort of the bougie, fancy girl, you know, who's dating the inmate. He is her boyfriend. He has been. And she's headed to her parents' home, her family home, to celebrate her dad's birthday, and also to let them know that she has a boyfriend who's in prison. I mean, why are we dropping this bomb on daddy's birthday? Somebody tell me. Like, it's not... Because it's a TV show, that's why. And because everybody's there gathered, so let's just drop the bomb, you know, what a perfect setting. So she gets there, they're all just eating, having cake, hanging out, and she has an announcement to make, everybody, and so they're all just sitting there waiting for the big announcement. She says, just want to let you all know that I have a boyfriend of 9 months. And they're like, what? Of 9 months? Like, why are you just telling us this now? Like, where is he? How come we haven't met him? And well, because there's a little detail I need to share. He's in prison. And they're like, oh, hell no. Like, are you serious? This again? Like, what? And mama, sure enough, throws out that you're traumatizing me. I'm feeling traumatized again card. Brittany knows her mom. And, you know, the mom is just like, ugh, like, you know, she's not happy about this. Well, none of the family's really happy about it because this is a very loving family. They appear to be like upper middle class. You know, they all have high expectations for one another. And, you know, they know Brittany. They know she's fancy. They know that she has a certain lifestyle. And so, you know, question number one is like, is he going to be able to provide you in the lifestyle that you require? I mean, he has a long road ahead of him. Like, does he have a job? What does he do? What was he in for? And she tells him, well, he was in what, you know, possession with the intent to sell. And they're just like, great, perfect. So, you know, if he tries to get out and find, like, rehabilitate himself and find, like, a legal job and, you know, trying to keep you happy and keep up with what you need, who's to say he's not just going to fall back on what he knows, which is selling drugs? And she's like, because he knows, like, he learned his lesson. He's changed. He's different. Well, like Lisa, that remains to be seen until he gets out. And the mom is just like, I don't get it. Like, you know, she's telling the camera, like, my daughter is a good girl. She's hardworking. She's independent. Like, she has all this stuff to offer. Like, why can't she find somebody normal? Now, I mean, normal, I mean, it's not that he's not normal. And even the dad is like, we don't have anything against, you know, inmates, convicted felons. Like, they deserve second chances and they can make their lives better. But it's just like, you know, he just wants to know that his daughter's going to be taken care of. And can this man really take care of her? Like, and not just financially, but, you know, emotionally and all those things. Remember, she comes from this previous relationship where she was treated extremely poor, and that is putting it mildly, right? And they want the best for her. So nobody's really on board with this. You know, dad's like, well, you're an adult. I can't stop you. You're going to do whatever it is you do. And, you know, she's like, well, he wants to meet all of you. Can we do that when he gets out? And mom's like, no, like, I'm not ready to meet him until kind of like he shows me that he can bring something to the table, because he's kind of coming out with nothing and he's getting you who has everything. And I just want to know that he can be on the same level. So until he gets to that level, like, we can put a pause on the meeting. And, you know, don't tell me he's going to live with you. Like, what's going on with that? And she's like, no, like, he's got to, like, for the first few months, he's got to check into like a halfway house. And then he's gonna go stay with his dad. And they're just like, okay, well, that's good. I mean, at least you're kind of taking it slow. Proceed that way, you know. But then, you know, Brittany tells us off to the side that she feels terrible because now she's lied to her family. That, in fact, he's not going to a halfway house. He is immediately going to be released into her custody in her home. Yeah, that's not good. It's not good to start your relationship off on a lie with your family. But I mean, she already felt sort of, she already felt the, not discrimination, she felt the pressure of, like, what is the word I'm looking for? Like, in that moment when they're asking her, she already felt the disapproval. She already felt the disapproval a lot. So, you know, it was already enough at that point that I think she just didn't want to hear it anymore, that she was just like, yeah, he's not going to live with me. And then that kind of maybe placated the situation. But it's not good to lie. I mean, it's going to come out eventually, you know, when they watch this show. But the family's like the dad said, we can't stop you. You're going to do what you're going to do. We're going to hope for the best and, you know, hope that you're being smart and this guy really is who he says he is and is going to do right by you. So I think, yeah, that's where we leave them. So we'll see more of them next week. Deontay Nicole, the best for last, of course. So it is the day of Nicole's release from prison. So Deontay's at home. It's early in the morning. He's throwing the rose petals everywhere, getting it ready, and he heads out in his car to go pick her up from prison. I mean, he has to wait outside, like across the street. He pulls up. It's very foggy. It's early. You know, he's just anxious. He's just like waiting. Cars are like zooming by. I'm like, can you get out? Like, it was making me nervous. Like, can you get out of the street? Can you chill in your car? He's like, he's giving me anxiety, you know, but he's just, you know, he's excited, but, you know, he also can't help but think about the last time he was here, I don't know, picking up his previous girlfriend out of prison. And, you know, that went bad. She drained him dry. And he knows that, you know, you can have all this talk and conversations and letters and phone calls, but you don't really know who someone is until they get out. So he's not totally dumb. Like, he knows He's been here before. He knows. He's rolling the dice. So he's waiting and he's waiting and he's waiting and he's waiting. We're waiting. And then finally Nicole comes out, you know, in her little prison sandals. She has like her natural hair grown out, which I think looks much better than that sort of like peroxide bottle platinum blonde. She's walking out and she's telling us a little bit about her background. You know, she never thought she would ever go to prison. She just kind of fell into the wrong crowd when she was younger and got caught up, and you know, she doesn't ever want to go back. She's walking out, they're kind of running towards each other, and he's just like, oh my God, there she is. He's just like, she's holding some paperwork. I'm trying to set the scene. She's holding some paperwork. He runs up to her and just like embraces her. She's kind of giving him the sort of like holding her stuff, like, to me, it looked like she was kind of holding back. Now, okay, fine. Then, you know, she's like, my papers, like, you know, her excuse, she doesn't want to drop her papers. And so then when she kind of puts her papers down, he goes in to kiss her, and she kind of still kind of she goes in for the kiss, but she isn't, you guys, remember when Bobby Brown, this is back in the day, got out of prison and Whitney was waiting for him outside the prison, just a scene similar to this. When he got out, she just like jumped into his arms and they were just like, you know, sweaty and in love and just like that. I mean, that's what you would expect, you know, and he's giving that. Deontay's just like, oh, this is the love of my life right here. You know what I'm saying? I'd do anything for you, girl. You know what I'm saying? He's kissing her. And when he pulls back, he's got like all of this like foundation on her face. And she's just like, oh my gosh, like my makeup, it's getting on you. Kind of like another excuse to not like get close. And he's like, I don't care. Like, I don't even care. And side note, she says, my prison makeup is getting on you. What? I've heard, like I say, I'm very naive when it comes to the ways of prison life. I've heard that you can use like red Skittles for lipstick. What does one use for like prison foundation powder? Because it was all over him. Like, I've worn foundation, I've made out with guys, and never have I pulled away and just saw like all my makeup. I mean, maybe like if you rub on, like when you're hugging somebody, your makeup might rub off on there, but it was just like, it looked like somebody like hit him with the powder puff. And what is it? Somebody tell me in the comments below if you know. To me, she's kind of holding back, which I would say I would understand but I don't understand, because on the one hand, he is fully embracing her. This is the love of his life. He's going to marry her. He's been waiting for her to get out. Like, but she is kind of holding back, which I would understand, because like you haven't really been physical with this person. It's just been phone calls. They were seeing each other like on prison visits, but she did something. She committed some sort of she broke some sort of rule that put the kibosh on that, where he couldn't go see her anymore. So maybe I could understand a little bit of hesitation, because how do you really know this person? But yet I'm sure on the phone she's been telling him, I love you, I can't wait to see you, I want to be with you, yeah, you and me together. So I think he's expecting, and I'm expecting them to sort of like fully embrace each other, but I see her pulling away. That's what I see anyway. He's like hugging on her, you know, he's like hugging her from behind. He's just like, down boy, like you're getting me excited. Like, he can't wait to get her home, as he's expressed in the last episode. And he says she's told him that, you know, she don't want him just to pound it out. She want that slow grind. Baby, grind on me. Who sings that song? They were just that group. They were just in Love and Hip Hop Miami. They were, baby, grind on me. Pretty Ricky. She wants the Pretty Ricky treatment, and he can give it to her. He can give it to her any way she wants, and he can't wait to get her home. But before they get home, he pulls out the bottle of red wine and 2 wine glasses. Am I being nitpicky when I'm like, why? I mean, if we're gonna drink on the side of the road, just across the street from the prison, if we're gonna do that, like, let's do it for real. Why don't we pop that bottle of champagne? Like, that's a celebratory drink. But no, he pulls out like the Merlot, pours them a glass, and they're like, cheers, and they're just sipping the wine in front of the prison. And then he says, I got something for you. He hands her the envelope full of money, and she just fans it out. And she's just like, well, I'm ready to go shopping. But she's not a gold digger. She's not materialistic. She's not shallow, by his account. But when he's like, well, let's get home. Like, I'm ready to get you home. She tells the camera, like, she loves him. But when it comes to sex, like she just got out of prison. What does that mean? Is there like a rule of prison delay when it comes to, because I mean, Josh and Courtney wasted no time, and you know, Lisa don't want to waste no time. And I mean, I don't know how she's gonna, you know, I don't know. What do I know? That's it, you guys. Let me know what you think. Rate, comment, subscribe if you like. Thank you for joining me. Yeah, the show's fun, but I mean, I think until like the prisoners are released, it's kind of just like, it's a little slow going. So I mean, let's get these other people out and see what happens. Anyway, you guys have a good rest of your day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.